Hey there, welcome to ulaofthetea readings. My name is Lenore, and today I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. The wind has come up, so hopefully it's not too loud. It feels really nice to be in the sun, have a little breeze. The birds are singing. It's very chill. So I hope you'll just sit with me for a few minutes and we can take a look and see what the universe wants to tell you. The first thing we have is AZ up here. Where's my? I have a little pencil to point with here. We have A and we have a Z. Okay. It could be that this is the first to the last, the alpha to the omega, the great great. This could be somebody that has the name A and the Z last name. I don't know. I can't think of what that might be, but um, definitely, uh, definitely the A and the Z. Something just fell on me from the tree, and it is high Tick. If you spell that out, don't say it. Say it in your head. Don't say it out loud. You don't want to draw them to you. Um, so I'm tripping a little bit. Every little thing that falls on me. So we have that A, we have that Z, we have the beginning, we have the end, we have full circle, we have the universe. Now up here we have, it looks like WE, and we have a person who is kind of in a kneeling position. You can see right here, this would be like the knee area, arm extended and reaching out for something. You can see right over here. Now we're on this kind of incline, and it leads me to believe that this is something happening more in that emotional psychic realm. I feel like you have spent a lot of your life probably building up your financial, your domestic, your career, keeping your family together. Uh, and I would say, you're here, you're open minded, you're spiritual, you're maybe a religious person or somebody who uh, has some kind of interest in the metaphysic, spiritual, supernatural, whatever, right? The other stuff. Um, but I'm just going to say it. I don't think that this was something that was a huge priority for you for probably the majority of the life you've lived so far. I don't think that this is any reason besides you had other stuff going on. I don't think that this is like an aversion or um, maybe even like you just totally were like, weirded out and you don't want to look at that or, whatever, closed off to it. I don't think that's it either. I think it just wasn't something that was a huge priority or deal or something that uh, you spent your time worried about, right? Or even considering. So here we are in this time in your life, and you have found yourself maybe reassessing some of the ways you've been living, and I don't mean living in a bad way necessarily, not, um, in some troubled, uh, you know, uh, like when you're in addiction and you come into a place where you have your little, beginning of an awakening. And I say little, it's not little as in, it doesn't matter. Little as in oftentimes you start to crack open just a little bit. You're starting to let that reality is kind of penetrating the walls of being kind of alienated from what is. And uh, I don't feel like it's something like that more than anything. I feel like it's like, okay, you're seeing on a more existential, and that is like, what life means and what does the world mean? What does society mean? What does family mean? What does it mean to be me as a human being, as a I am, right? And I think that probably you're looking now. You know, you have been inspired, you have been, shook, in the deep hours of the night when it is dark and still, and, you're startled awake, and suddenly everything is so clear. And usually it is, what the heck am I doing? What the heck are we doing? What the heck is going on? I mean, really, what the heck is going on, And you start to look and you think, well, how can I even keep getting up every morning and doing the same things I've always done, knowing that this life is not, it's not serving me well, and it's not serving the collective well, right? And I think, I'm not saying every aspect of your life, but yeah, man, they're all of us are doing things. All of us are living in ways where it's like, this is not even like, how did I end up doing this? I don't even like this. I was never even interested in this. I was never, you just find yourself in a place where you have made so many compromises, and you have, allotted so much of yourself or your space, or, the majority, if you've ever lived in a shared household, of course, the helicopter is going over right as we speak. They never go over my house. And the wind is going wild. So we have all of the air is trying to get in the way here. But you begin to wake up in your own life and think, oh, what was I saying? Oh, yes, if you've ever lived in a house of people, right, not everybody is going to agree with you. And sometimes you get into a place where the majority is not going to agree with you, right? And you're going to get voted out of what's for dinner, or, where we're going on our day off, or, whatever. And over the span of many years, these little things, they shape the way that we live, and they're compromise. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it is a thing. This is the reality of life. And, sometimes we get into these moments where we start to think, well, what the heck is it that I'm really doing? So we begin looking, right? We begin reading the books, and we watch the videos, and we talk to the weird friend from high school that was always into, like, tarot or whatever, you know what I mean? And, and we start to explore. And I think that's right where you are. That's right where you are, right where you should be, right? And I think a lot of us, we need to be there. I know I do. Now, on the other end here, we have a nervous situation going on. We have the siren or the mermaid, right? We have this feeling of let me just be real. A feeling of somebody in your life, I don't think it's you, but I think somebody in your life is maybe involved in a romantic situation with somebody who is not who they appear to be, or like maybe it's a catfishing kind of situation, or it's like this is like a real vile person, but your friend or your brother or your whoever this is, they don't necessarily see what this person is doing, right? They don't see the larger scheme of things. Or, and let's be real, they do see it and they don't care. Either way, and I look down here, we have this cat that's in this kind of upset state. Ooh, and the wind is really going for our tea leaves here. But I think it's putting you into a stressful state. I think that you are getting pretty involved emotionally. Your nervous system is like all stressed out. You want to go right in there and say, maybe it's like your daughter, she's dating somebody you don't like. You see what kind of person they're dating, right? And you're like, man, come on, listen, I've never lied to you before. I've never misled you on purpose before, Like, why aren't you hearing me? And, you just, you can't you can't tell people who to love. You can't tell people who to be with, and it sucks. You know, um, we've all been that friend. We've all been the person looking and saying, you know, uh, I don't love this for you, and I'm gonna not support it, but I'm not gonna also be rude and alienate you, or, because that's it. That's the thing, right? We have to be careful giving people advice about their lives, about who they choose to have in their lives, because pretty quickly we become the symbolic representation of the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go out of your way to say, hey, babe, I saw your, I saw your girlfriend, I don't even know, doing something. I can't even think of what would be bad enough to tell somebody. Because it's not just like the cheating stuff. Like, our heads go to the cheating, but it could be any, like, I don't even know. I don't even know. I saw her spending, money that I know you don't have, or something like that. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what would get me to the point where I had to call somebody, but, but then again, my daughter hasn't dated. She's young, so who knows? Mommy's going to be all up in that business. I know that. Not to the point where I'm going to make it. I don't want to be that, but, I will watch. I'll tell you that. I'm going to try to hold my tongue. I'm already working on the mantras for that. Like, must live your own life, must learn your own lessons, must have ordeals. But listen, there are limits, right? I don't know. So I get it. But here's the deal. I think that this is like almost like you are accepting a hex on you, because this isn't even your deal. It's not even your deal, but it's affecting your health. It's affecting your sleep. It's affecting your energy. Okay? And if we like it or not, if we're willing to admit this in the moment that it's happening or not, we are making the choice to allow ourselves to get upset. We are making the choice to get involved. It's like that feeling, if you've ever, I don't know, like had been in a relationship where maybe, I don't know, you like don't check each other's phones, right? And I'm a pretty firm believer in like having lots of privacy. Everybody deserves privacy. But we've all been that person where, you get that, should I? You know what I mean? But listen, that ick that you get before you check, now it might be that, yeah, you're feeling what is going to be found, right? You already know, like, but you already knew before you had to check the phone, okay? The other kind of the ick is the feeling of breaking your own honor, your own integrity you have with yourself, knowing that I don't want to have to investigate somebody. You know what I mean? Like, why are you going to be sharing your heart, your love, your everything that's with somebody you have to investigate? That you even feel the need to investigate. And I'm saying this not off of a high horse where I'm like, I've never, ever, ever, ever been paranoid, never been worried about this. Never. Of course I have, dude. I'm neurotic as heck. I'm a gremlin, guys. I'm a gremlin in the system. You know what I mean? And half the time it's not even that I care to what I'm gonna find. I just like to watch. I like to see what's going on. You know what I mean? Um, but it doesn't feel good. I feel good when I'm researching flowers. I feel good when I'm figuring out how to build something, how to do a project, how I'm going to make this money, make this money, make this money. I feel good about those things. I don't feel good about having to FBI somebody. You know what I mean? And so when it's the same kind of thing, if you catch that thing and you're like, maybe I don't get involved, or maybe I don't say the thing, or maybe I don't even go searching in their Facebook comments with their, you know, ratchet sister, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, maybe we just don't, dude. Maybe we just don't. Maybe what did it? We put it in God's hands, right? Goddess's hands, mother's hand. I put it in mother's hands. If I put it in mother's hands, baby, I do not have to worry. I don't have to investigate because my mom, that goddess of the tunnels, she gonna get you. She is going to get you. Bet on that. Bet on that. Don't mess with a woman that was motherless, because the world becomes her mother, babe. All of them goddesses become her mother, babe. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to investigate, And so I get the same kind of energy here. I really do. I feel like there's this sense of, I haven't been looking at the bowl, but it looks like it's changed a little bit here. I get a sense of it being heavy on your heart. It's something that I feel like there's a real intense need for we in your life. Like, you want to feel together, you want to feel a part of some kind of unit or a pair, or the family coming together, the friendship being good. But trying to force it to be something like that you, in your mind, right? Like, this is what we do with people. In our mind, we cast them in these roles. They fulfill archetypes. We have these stories we tell ourselves about people, um, and how things are going to play out between us. And if they don't, or if there's some variance, or if it shifts or changes, or, whatever, that there's something wrong, right? And that's just usually simply not the case. It is our expectations that break our hearts. It is our wanting to control a situation instead of just experiencing it for what it is, good or bad, right? And here's the other thing is that, a lot of us, I think, who are feelers, who are empaths, or, have really highly attuned pattern recognition. We feel our environments. We are immersed in them. We are immersed in the people around us. People really affect our moods and how even a room feels for us, or whatever. All this, we're like in it. There's no like, just ignore it. Like, how? Like, tell me how. I mean, listen, I can fully just oblivion out. You know what I mean? That's about the only way. But, I feel like there's just where was I even going with it? Where was I going? Um, what happened is I started thinking about, just the feeling of being next to somebody, building with somebody in conversation that feels green. Like, they make the walls feel green. It makes you feel like everything is unfurling, and it's just, You're alive together. You're like a garden growing together. The conversation's building on each other. There's so much like free flowing association, and like, oh yeah, you had a dream like that. Oh, this is what I saw this in my dream. And it's like not a competition. It's a holy bond. You know what I mean? And like, yeah. So anyways, that's like ideal, right? That's like, ooh, baby, that's the good stuff. Now, so often we get into places where we want to control how we perceive something should happen, it's like, oh, I met this person and they feel, like, I don't know, like, they understand me, they hear me, we're into similar things, and we court and we're together, and you place all these big, like, we're gonna be soulmates, we're you know eternal partners, we're going to do the deepest work together in a way that feels so profound, and listen, and maybe you are doing that, and maybe that is happening, and it's spread out over years of being together, but it doesn't necessarily play out in the way that you think it will. Like it's some, story of like some old occultists living in, the Victorian Renaissance, doing their ceremonial magic and love affairs together through letters. And these people were rich, dude. These people were rich and they had nothing else going on. They were studying, they were eating, good food, and making art and doing magic and writing about, making folklore about it. You know what I'm saying? And then like we look for like these kinds of like romantic sweeping, and it's not even, I don't mean romantic in the like sense that it's amorous. Romantic in the sense that it is a whole and Rubenesque feeling, a full and sumptuous and just pulling you over time and space and wrapping into each other, just like something so enthralling. And it's not always going to be, it's probably not often going to be like that with the people in our lives who we do the deepest work with. You know what I mean? And like, so what I'm getting at, and I think this is where I was going before, was just that there, sometimes we have to look at ourselves and reassess how we view the world and our ideals, because we have high ideals, because we know more than we probably should about a lot of things. Maybe not mastered, but you know about a lot of things. You have experienced things that are different than the common person. And I'm just going to say that. You're here. I know you are. You're still in here 23 minutes in. You have. I know you have. We're kindred in that way, right? Not that we're better or anything like that than you. We're just different, right? I almost choked on ice, you guys. I'm sorry. And I'm chomping. I can't help but chomp it. So, everything is to say, don't get up in these people's business. Stop letting it break your heart. Okay? I know you love the person that's involved. They're going to figure it out. I'm going to pull a card just to prove that the universe is going to help you out here. It's going to help you out. Let's see. What's going to happen with this relationship that's been just stressing? All right, there we go. 6 of Swords. They know, and they are doing the science. They know what's happening. They're not blind to the situation, and they're not going to stay in it. They're figuring out what their next move is. So give them time. Let them know that you have their back, and they're going to do it. Now, look at this. We have the Z and the A. Calling back to the beginning. A, Z, Z, A. Beginning to the end, into the beginning. It is the eternity, right? The Ouroboros, the forever cycle. It is also the divine, the ineffable. Like I said in the beginning, the alpha and the omega and the alpha, right? The gateway to that eternal mystery. Just let yourself be in the awe of things for a while. I promise you it's going to heal you. I don't mean every little thing. I don't mean any of the big things. Okay? But to find your way into those moments of flow, of serenity, of ease, to be able to have even one night where you can lay down and go to sleep without having to, you know, do a million things to get there, or, you know, take some melatonin, or, you know, whatever. Can you imagine just a night where you lay down peacefully, not because you're so tired, you're worked to the bone, you just pass out? Although, listen, I love that kind of sleep. That's my favorite. But, you know, just being able to lay down and not stress, not obsessing. That's what I want you to try for. I don't mean forever, I mean for one night. Just let go of some of this stuff. Be in those moments. The wind just blew almost all. It was like, all right, that's it. Stop talking. They understand, Lenore. All right, you guys. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. It's always such a pleasure for me. If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, we'll talk again soon. Bye.